So we're at the end, guys. There's only one more episode of Fargo season 4. Um, all the pieces are set up, and I have to say, I don't know what's gonna happen, man. I have a few thoughts, and obviously we're gonna talk about that here in a second. But damn, I think a lot of people are gonna die in this last episode, man. What do y'all think?
Well, I think that on top of those things you just mentioned, you look at not only the police involvement, but I was actually getting ready to spoil a couple wire deaths for you on accident there, Larry. But I think that a couple characters
There's so many.
very similarly in this, where it's like you won't see it coming, and then they'll just die. You'll be like, oh shit,
I know
that
one
a couple
particular.
times this episode. So I think that next episode will be similar. Though I think there'll be one, if not two, probably at least like that.
Well, this is Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Spencer and Larry, and yes, we are discussing Fargo season 4, episode number 10, titled "Happy." Like I said, it's the last episode before the finale, and we did have, in fact, two major deaths in this episode. Well, Spencer, he wasn't sure about one. Well, we'll talk about it, but we're going to jump right into that. Yeah, we definitely lost Gaetano Fada with the clumsiest death ever. And then we appear to have lost Otis. Both significant characters, both major players in the storyline, and definitely will affect the ending. Especially the fact that Josto's on his own now. I think that's going to play definitely into how Canon will probably get the upper hand on him.
Well, I think that that's a great point. You know, we saw in the last several episodes, like I was talking about it prior to starting, that we finally got Gaetano to not be a giant shithead. He was starting to get along with his brother. You know, they were knowing their roles. I started to well, I always liked his character. It was funny, but like I thought that he was growing as a character. I enjoyed it. And then he trips and blows his own brains out, which, like me and Larry were talking beforehand too, like that, I feel with as accident prone as I am, that would definitely probably be
that's going to be the end of one of us.
Like, what happened to Larry? Well, he tripped. What?
Like, it kind of looks like he was stabbed to death. Like, no, I promise you, he just tripped while cooking.
He fell down the elevator shaft onto some bullets. Another obscure 90s movie reference for you, Brian.
See, that one I get.
The Otis's story was sort of over the second he I always assumed he was going to die, basically, because I thought he was going to die several episodes. I was actually shocked he made it this far.
Yes.
Definitely.
I didn't think that, he killed Swanee, and I thought he died the episode before that. Like he was trying to fill out kind of Canon's wishes, but even before that ever happened, I figured Canon and them were going to kill him instead of using him. So even prior to his own untimely demise, I thought he was going to be dead way before that. But seeing how his OCD ended up being his own undoing, because he couldn't stop it long enough to get his stuff together. He just kept panicking, but then he finally just made peace with it, but he made peace with dying. I don't think he made peace with the, I don't have to click this 7 times to open the door. He just finally was at peace. And it was really like sad, but cinematic at the same time.
When Josto, it was grim but funny when Josto called him and was basically like, "Yeah, I'm going to kill you. Like, have a bullet with your name on it." Like he's joking about it, but it was sort of weird for like a second because even the one of the police, or it may have been the chief, tells Otis, he's like, you know they're going to kill you, right? It's like you've worked with everybody knew he was on the take, and now he's betrayed them, and it's like that's not going to stand. Like you have to know this.
Yeah, they said, what was it, like something about the hand that feeds or something?
Yeah, he gave him that old adage about biting the hand that feeds.
Yeah, I thought he said it differently because I thought that's how it goes.
He,
you know,
he did put like a different
Yeah,
sort
he
of
put
spin
it.
on it.
Yeah, it was the same kind of adage. He said it a little differently, but it's the same kind of thing. They were the one paying him, and he betrayed them because Loy and them threatened him, but he wasn't getting money from them. So for him to betray literally the person that's been paying him for a while now, because I think they alluded to Donatello paying him even prior to Josto. So he's been on the take for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, he's been. I think it appeared he's been with the family for a while. We're introduced to a new character who's related to I believe, the character Leon, and that is Lionel Holloway, just known as Happy. We'll just call him Happy. But basically, he comes in. He's from the country. He comes in. Cannon basically needs muscle, and so he's just like, will you back us for a couple weeks?" He agrees, but then later he's making a deal with the Fados, with the Italians. Not sure if he's how that's playing out. It appeared when Cannon found out, he appeared legit concerned and upset by it. So it does look like it is a double cross, but there may be more to that story. The fact that they set it up so late in the game, where we're one episode left. Where do you guys think that particular storyline is going to go?
I thought initially that they were supposed to do that, like that was part of the plan. But then seeing Loy's face, oh Jesus! One of the kids opened the door. When Gruff doesn't like it, he's got to protect me. My big ass dog's got to protect my big ass, I guess. But I didn't. What was I saying? I forgot. I got distracted.
You were talking about that you thought that it was all part of the plan until you saw Cannon's reaction.
Yeah, because his reaction did not go with my gut reaction of it was all part of the plan. When he legit looked confused and concerned, I was like, well, maybe he just doesn't know who to trust yet. But the guy he's been working with now seems to have his trust. So it was really odd. Like that's what made it hard, was Cannon's reaction.
Well, it was one of those things, like they said it early on, after he beat up. Leon is Happy's cousin, by the way, right?
I believe they're related.
Okay.
Like his
cousin or something. Okay, yeah. Well,
he said he wanted to make it right between Leon and Cannon.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I find it weird that you know him by his name, because they've been referring to him as Happy's cousin for most of the.
I wrote it down. I can't remember. I pulled it from somewhere. I usually go online and pull the names, or try to.
But yeah, I knew it was going to be an issue to some degree when when he attacked Happy's cousin, and they were like, "We're going to need Happy. You can't attack him. You can't do that. We need Happy's help." That was something they pressed. So, from that point, I figured at some point in the series, Happy would show up, or either he was going to show up, or he was going to be to use a reference that nobody older or younger than us probably gets. He was going to be a Skunky Beaumont character, and you just hear about Happy and Happy's influence. The
character's name is Leon Biddle. I just Googled it.
Yeah, Leon Biddle, huh? But yeah, but what I think is going to come of this is, I think Happy is he would be playing his cards right if it wasn't for that end scene that happens, which we might as well talk about right now. The scene where God, I'm forgetting her name.
Ethelrida.
Yeah, Ethelrida. Yeah, the scene where Ethelrida hands Loy the ring. If it weren't for that scene, I think that he's on the right side. But however, I think there's going to be a bit of a schism in the on the side of the Italian faction. The New York side against the local Italian gang, because now the waters are muddied and they're not sure they're probably not going to be sure of what to make of that when Loy shows up to the Italians with the ring and the evidence about Nurse Mayflower. It's going to look like Josto tried to kill his dad. So they're going to turn on Josto. Maybe not his actual gang. Well, not the locals, but the ones from New York most likely will turn on him because it'll look like he broke their code. And
Yes, if New York thinks he took his father out, I'm pretty sure there'll be consequences for that. Yes.
Yeah, and I say all this and seemingly dance around the whole issue with Happy, just to say that I feel like that's the crossfire that Happy would get caught up in. That they'd retaliate against Josto, and Happy would get caught up in the crossfire. I think that's what'll take care of Loy's issue.
Yeah, I could see that. Going more into the Ethelrida's plan. Yeah, I think that's probably what the plan is. I wasn't completely sure because I was like, well, she's got the ring, but what's the significance of it? But like you said, if she can prove, she knows that Josto was messing with Orietta, so if she may assume that he had his father killed. She did the research on all the victims of Mayflower, so she's aware of who died and who these people are. So that probably is exactly what his plan is. I mean, what else? And Cannon seemed very, very defeated during that scene before their conversation because he was just like, he makes the reference he may be dead in a day. Like things are just going bad. But the moment him and her have that conversation, she basically declares, "Look, I figured this shit out. You need to listen." All of a sudden, there's a moment of hope. You can see it on his face, like, "Oh shit, she has a plan."
Well, yeah, and not only that, but I'm not going to say I came up with this because I did read it online while I was just chatting with people on forums and whatnot. But someone made a good point when they mentioned what Loy was doing when he was talking to her. Like at first, he's standing when they're talking, and he's not even really looking at her. But when she starts talking to him a certain way, and when she starts negotiating at some point during that conversation, when it seems like she's got solid evidence, like when it seems like she can help him, he sits down and he meets her eye to eye. And what did he tell the father child that was traded for his son? About how you tell when someone respects you. Like they meet you eye to eye. And at that moment, he had some level of respect for Ethelrida. Like at first, he was like, "I don't want to hear this. You're just trying to weasel out of this debt." But he saw her differently in that moment, and I think that kind of goes towards the ending that I suspected for a while now, where this is Ethelrida's descent into crime.
Well, she's almost taking on the new role of Dr. Senator. She's the new brains.
Which is what we said.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and she may be Dr. Senator, but like I think a lot of people suspect. I think Loy may not survive this himself. I'm pretty sure Josto's not going to survive this. And I think, she may be in that position, but she may be that for his son because they're clearly very fond of each other. Whereas, he's the name and the reputation, but she's the real brains behind the operation of that family. Because that was something that clearly Ethelrida was worried about as well. What becomes of her in this town where everything's set against her. Racism, her family's dead, etc. And here she sees a moment to seize power and to completely reverse her family's fortune. What are the odds that she doesn't take it? Especially given the type of show this is. Yeah,
I definitely agree. Any thoughts on Ethelrida's goals, Spencer?
Well, and we alluded to it from almost the get go that not the get go. I'm not going to say that we figured that out from episode 1, but when Dr. Senator died pretty early on, that became our immediate assumption is that she was basically going to take on the role of the intelligent kind of a right hand of Loy's group. And it didn't happen until the end of this episode. So I was like, well, I guess we're wrong. I don't know what her story is going to be. But as soon as I saw her looking at the obituaries, I was like, oh, damn, she's trying to basically prove her own theory. And then once she found the evidence, I thought it was brilliant the way that she brought it to Loy. She didn't just bring it to him and be like, hey, I found this out. Maybe it can help you. She brought it to him with an agenda. And the way she very professionally and methodically went through everything to try and get him on board, I thought that was brilliantly done. And it made me respect even more her character, because the whole the painting thing, I thought that was great. It how many girls do you know speak 2 languages, and was it like learn about French art or something like that, or French history and art? I thought it was great because Loy was trying to act like he had like the upper hand in the conversation, and clearly she was his better.
Well, it was the sort of thing where, like I think in that moment he saw them as sort of intellectual equals, if anything. Not necessarily that she saw him as anyone that was better than him in that particular moment. It's just the sort of thing. It's like, all right, I can talk to you on my level. There's very few people I can talk to on this level, especially since Dr. Senator passed, because Loy's pretty sharp himself. Like the only thing that, well, I mean, the one thing she has is, her particular education and focus on things. And Loy, I think, saw in that moment that he could use that perspective. And I think that plays into another plot line as well, which, I think I kind of mentioned this already, where she's going to wind up with Loy's son. And if Loy's alive towards the end of this, I think Loy's going to insist on that. Like her mother wants her to stay away from him. But I think if Loy's alive by the end of this, he's like, no, we kind of want her, and she's family now, like it or not, she's family. You want your business back? Like, we made a deal. You got your business back. Like, but she's got a job.
I have a slight sort of complaint. I want to see if you guys agree or disagree with me. Ethelrida up front at the beginning of the series was clearly sort of somewhat of the main character. There's several main characters. They're not just one, but she was clearly a main focus. She disappeared for about the last 2 to 3 episodes. There was one episode she didn't appear at all, but that was fine. That was sort of that one-off. But like the couple episodes before that, she was in it for like one scene, and then she comes back in. Now, story-wise, I don't have a problem with it. It makes sense. But my beef is this particular scene, or just the way this all played out. I almost felt like it should have been earlier, or we needed more. I don't know. It felt like the show took a break from her for several episodes, almost to the point where you forgot about her as a main character, and then brings her back in as a main character. I don't know. I really think she needed another role or something more, maybe a couple episodes back.
I do feel we could have used more time with the character, and I get what you're saying. Like, especially episode 1 kind of frames it like, okay, this is our main character, and last couple episodes did deviate from following her at all. I could have, like you said, could have maybe used at least one more episode that kind of leads to her being where she's at right now, to where she's willing to, talk face to face with Loy, realizing who he is, realizing what that could mean. Something that shows, just sort of, because I get they're in a desperate position, but just showing that Ethelrida's sick of going by the book, doing things the way that her parents told her to do, because it hasn't been working out for them. Just some episode that kind of segues to perhaps a change in opinion or a change in mental state for her or something. Just some sort of episode of growth that leads you there.
Well, I think too that it. I haven't had a complaint with this season pretty much at all, other than that I felt like some of the episodes were put out of order. The whole tornado episode last week, I thought was a brilliantly shot episode. It was very well done. It was very cinematic, but I felt like that should have happened, right after Satchel and Mulligan ran away. I think that would have been better instead of killing the momentum from the other episodes. This, like you said, that scene with Ethelrida, had that happened earlier, you could kind of set up that relationship, kind of give her a purpose. And then, if she's not in a couple episodes, it's because it wasn't relevant to the story. But waiting until the last moment to do this kind of feels rushed a little bit, like they're trying to shove all the pieces together at the end.
It just felt like she should have got more screen time. That's what it came down to. Because I was watching that scene and it was like, man, the back and forth between the two were so great. And then I was like, damn, we haven't seen her in like weeks, really, And it was just that moment I realized it. And I wrote it in my notes, like, yeah, they should have had a little more. I know there's a lot of characters and there's a lot of story going on, but I think because it's clear she's from the beginning she's such an important part. I would have given her a little bit more. That's all. That's my only real complaint. I would have given her a little bit more screen time. In the last 2 to 3 episodes. I mean, I understand the last one was that one-off, but before that, even.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Spencer, that you could have probably placed that episode earlier, potentially. Like you might could have. Let's talk about the ghost. I don't have a whole lot to say other than I do want to know what you guys think. He was the captain of a slave ship, and he's tied to their family. He appears when Mayflower's about to try and kill Ethelrida, and he's sort of enjoying the moment. Do you think he was trying to stop it, or not? He was just enjoying Mayflower's evil actions. I wasn't completely sure what the reason he appeared at that exact moment, because he just, in other words, him showing up stopped the murder from happening. Does he, did he want the murder to happen, or did he not want the murder to happen, or is he just an asshole that floats around and he sensed evil and went to it and smiled? Like, I don't know. What do you guys get from?
Well, it's clearly symbolic, but it's the sort of thing where, and there's a lot of debate about this online, like what that actually represents. Like,
well, definitely go into that if you, because I haven't read anything.
Well, some people think that it's he's there as a portent of death, and or that he's there because of the curse, and he wants revenge. But some people think it's a curse, but that it turned out to be sort of a curse that is good in a way, in that like he shows up and he is evil and his nature is evil, but every time he shows up, whoever he's signifying a death for tends to conquer that death, or defy it in some way. He shows up right before Mayweather, good Lord. Mayflower's about to poison Ethelrida. She gets spooked, and Ethelrida survives. He shows up before Ethelrida's aunt, before her girlfriend's about to die, and right as he's lingering over her, she just happens to pull out of her sickness in that moment, and just barely makes it through. So they think it may be an omen, but it may be that somehow it's that not necessarily he's good, but it's a sort of
he just senses certain like death or things and fears.
He senses that, but it also represents, because the original story is with their ancestor was that right as they were about to die, right as the ship, when it seemed like the ship was about to crash, in that moment, that's when their ancestor just wrapped that chain around his neck and choked him out and killed him. manage to circumvent their own death. So it may be sort of a cycle that's repeating for this spirit even after its death.
Yeah, but like you just said, repeating it, his intent was to kill somebody, yet he died. That seems to be the theme because, Orietta comes in, tries to kill somebody, and then her undoing came right after that. The
Speaking of the undoing, we do reviews every Sunday night. The season finale is this Sunday, and we'll be covering it extensively. Please check that out.
Yes.
Yeah, and good segue. Good segue.
Yeah, hey.
But yeah, and he seems to like Ethelrida's mom said, he likes the he likes the good in the family. He likes to follow the good people in this family and try and harass them, but yet it seems like he's doomed to see them triumph every time. She says he likes the sunshine, and for Ethelrida's aunt, that was her girlfriend, was what was good in her life. The little bit of hope she had, So it seems like he's cursed to want to see their deaths, to want to get his revenge, but to always see them triumph in some way.
The Satchel. Let's talk about Satchel. We speculated that we may never see him again. That he was written off in last week's episode when he's walking with his dog Rabbit. But that's not the case. We did, in fact, see him this week. And then throughout the course of this episode, I was thinking, okay, I guess he's going to make his way back and he'll tie into the ending. But then we have sort of a scene where he steps up and he confronts these guys that are messing with him, and it felt almost like he changed, and he stood up and took charge of his life, and it almost felt like yet again writing him out. So I don't know. Do you guys think he's going to appear next week, or is his story complete? Most people are speculating that he is in fact a character from season 2 of Fargo. What do you guys think? Is he going to play a major role in the finale, or no?
I think so. I don't. Well, you say major. I don't know if it will be major or not. But
I was thinking if he showed up at his own funeral, that was.
Well, yeah,
that was my thought.
That's a pretty big deal. I don't know that him being there is going to be like a deal breaker one way or the other, or this, swaying the tide of the war. But I think that it's going to be a big kind of revelation to his character, because we've been told in the comments and everything else, and Larry has a couple friends that watch it. Is it Mike Mulligan or Mitch?
I believe it's Mike Mulligan.
Yeah, it's a character from one of the previous seasons that is essentially what we're thinking is Satchel. So his character a little bit more cold, calculated. Him coming upon his own funeral or watching his dad get killed at the end. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen that would help basically explain how his character was shaped in a season I haven't seen yet. But I think that just based on what, you guys have said in the comments and what we've looked up ourselves, it seems as though him being in the last season would make sense to kind of evolve his character to the point that we see him in the other seasons.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. I feel like he's gonna walk in to his funeral, perhaps, and I feel like oddly enough, at his own funeral, he's going to be the only person that isn't dead there by the time he shows up.
Ooh, that's a good prediction.
And it'll be the sort of thing where that's a new start for him. They're all dead, and he'll walk out like he'll see that it's a funeral for himself, and it's kind of a symbolic way of showing that especially if this Mike Mulligan thing is true, that Satchel is dead and he can be whoever he wants now, which is apparently this character in season 2 that I'll find out about once I go back and watch that. Because we're about to hit a long break here, and I'm going to power through season 1 and 2, so we'll see.
Let's talk about Josto and where he's at the end of this episode, going into the finale. His relationship with his fiance, it seems to be over. You know, he was in this sort of arranged marriage. He was confronted by her father. That seems to possibly be done. Um, his brother is gone. He's dead. Uh, he tripped so hard in that scene. I literally just jumped out of my chair. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" When it happened, but I was like, "Yeah, this is a very Cohen-esque style of death." Um, he has somewhat the backing of New York at the moment, but like you pointed out, Larry, I believe Ethelrida's plan is to take that away from him. Uh, does he die? Does he make it out of this series? I don't think he does. I think he dies in the next episode. But I mean,
Yeah,
shit can happen.
I'm pretty sure he dies. You know, that's my assumption is that he's a dead man. You know, I think not only New York will turn on him. I think he'll survive whatever big gun battle is going to happen. But I think it's his number two that's going to turn on him.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I do not remember his name, but
Never remember his
Barry
name.
or whatever.
he was the friend of Dr. Senator.
Yeah.
Yeah, he legit seemed to care about him.
And it seems like he seems to follow traditions and kind of honor his word and everything. He seems like that type of person. Ebal, I believe it's Ebal.
I think you're right.
Ebal. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably butchering that name, but he would probably just see Josto as a disgrace at this point and want to wash his hands of the whole thing. So Josto will likely, make it out of the funeral that I imagine they'll attack next episode or whatever, wherever this all converges. They'll be trying to plot with Ebal and mid sentence he'll probably shoot him. Is my
It's
guess.
Ebel.
Ebel?
No, I don't know. I'm just messing with you. I have no idea.
I think they call him just the consigliere or whatever
Yeah, like you said, he's the right hand. He's the voice of reason. He's the connection to New York. He's all those things.
Exactly. And now the fact that him being the voice of reason, him being, his number two, his senior advisor on everything, and having followed his father, and his father seems like the type of person has kept his word so far, at least that the show presents him that way. And seeing these double crosses and these and all these other things he didn't agree with, plus what Dr. Senator said before he passed, it's going to take someone like me to clean this whole thing up. Like, you boys are making a mess, and it's going to take someone like me to clean this up. So it'll be him.
Dude, he's looking at the whole situation. They lost Gaetano with Donatello, Calameda. They've lost all their top guys, and Josto is the one sitting there.
Yeah.
So,
Josto, who seemingly ignores his advice, more than anybody.
Even Rabbi, Rabbi was a nice tool of the family. They were using him.
Right, and the fact that
and their connection with Otis. When you look at the whole thing, everything they lost,
everything was tied together nicely for them, and Josto kind of squandered it. And it's the sort of thing, like even the lie they told about Loy's son. He didn't even Ebal looked surprised in that moment, which means he didn't even consult with him before he said that. He was gonna, he just it was kind of a gamble. It was a huge gamble when he did that Loy wouldn't shoot him then and there. So at this point, I imagine he'd see it as Josto's playing too fast and loose. He's making too many moves, and I imagine he was also very loyal to Donatello. So if he's got the assumption that Josto had him killed, then he's done with him.
Well, yeah, I think that he, as a character, the Ebal, he has seen Josto fuck up all the progress that they've made. And then for him to basically spit in the face of the New York family where, Ebal was trying to get him on board. He was trying to let him know that having the New York family on your side would be great for business. It would help us. And Josto was like, nope, fuck them. So it's, him not taking the advice over and over and over again and doing just whatever he wanted, I'm sure pissed him off. So if he suddenly at the end was Josto's undoing and he was the one that took over the family, I would not be surprised at all.
The ultimate wild card. Ethelrida's aunt Zelmare.
Hell
She's gonna pop up. I'm afraid that Cannon is going to achieve everything. He's gonna win, and then she's going to pop up and kill him, or who knows, kill one of his family members, or worse. She's been a wild card since.
Sounds like something that happened in The Wire. One.
She is a
well, it was even if I haven't seen The Wire, I don't know if people want to tune in for weekly Wire spoilers. Like, but then again, it's a pretty old show. I got no excuse.
I'm about to say I can't imagine anybody
hasn't watched The Wire.
Hasn't watched The Wire. So she's the wild card. I think she's going to play a big role in the finale. Why else did she escape? There's literally no reason for her to escape unless she plays a big role in the end, I think. What do you guys think? Do you agree that she could be the thing that takes out Cannon or causes a problem? What do you think?
She's going to be a crossover character in Always Sunny. Her and Charlie are going to get together and go wild carded up. But yeah, I think that she is. I think, I keep alluding to the character in The Wire that passes away very unexpectedly, but I do think that, how Gaetano kind of tripped and killed himself in this one, it's going to be her just showing up and either shooting Loy in the head or something along those lines, and then the series is just going to end. Well, not the series, the season, rather.
Yeah, she's going to show up during it, and she's going to be angry at some. It's hard to say who she's going to be shooting at or gunning for at this point, because did she know that there was any connection between Otis and?
Well, remember, she walked in the room with. This is what screws Cannon. Otis was sitting in the room when he gave her the ticket. She walked in the room, and Otis was sitting on the bench, and they met, and Cannon gives her the ticket and says, "Leave town, don't come back." So the last person she saw was Cannon with Otis, and then that evening, Otis shows up and pulls his gun out. So 100%, I would assume would think that he put the hit on her, and he gave her the ticket. Who else told the cops that she was going to be there? You know what I mean? Like, the whole picture looks horrible for Cannon.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. So yeah, probably she'll probably be gunning for Cannon, and if anything, like I said, his son will take over because of that, and it'll probably be him and Ethelrida in charge of this thing. Like, I don't think we'll see any of the two mobsters that are in charge. We won't see Josto or Loy surviving this. I doubt that.
I agree. I would be shocked if either of them survived.
Yeah, I don't think that they will.
That's basically my notes. But you, Larry, you said you had seen that it was a shorter episode, or you had seen a runtime for next week's episode, and it was.
Yeah, if the runtime is correct on that, from what I'm seeing on Hulu, it says it's 39 minutes. So, whatever happens, it's going to happen fast.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, if it's that short, definitely. Anything else? Yeah, this is, like I said, we've only got one more of these, and we're done with this particular series. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
One of the things I'm very interested to see is how Ethelrida's plan's going to come together. As much as all the little sub stories are very interesting, Zelmar coming back and kind of hopefully
Satchel, seeing what happens with his character coming back. I think there's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to, but I think that the Ethelrida perhaps becoming, the Queen of the South type of crime boss, I think would be one of the cooler storylines that could happen from all of this. And
Yeah,
I look.
Have y'all seen that show by any chance?
What show?
Queen of the South.
I don't even know what that's about.
Oh shit, pretty cool. I haven't watched it consistently, but I've watched some of it.
Yeah,
Pretty
I've
cool.
seen several episodes. I haven't seen it from start to finish, but
Like, but yeah,
it's
yeah.
another like there's a crime. So, yeah.
But yeah, that would be neat seeing, a season maybe 20 years from now, after Ethelrida has had control of the family or something. And speaking of timetables here, if Satchel does turn into this character everybody's talking about, especially after that last scene with Satchel, I'd be really interested in seeing, what happens with this character, what type of character he turns into. Because he had a very take charge moment then and there where he's like, no, I'm not putting up with anybody's crap anymore. I'm in charge. I'm the boss. This is my world. I believe those were his words exactly. So, which is another reason why I'm binging through season 1 and 2 after we're done with this one.
One more week. Yeah. As I stated earlier, yeah, we're doing The Undoing. That finale is also this week. We're starting on Sunday nights on the 6th of December. Your Honor will be a new series that we start doing. I think it runs like 10 weeks. So very much looking forward to that. Starring Bryan Cranston. It's a Showtime series. If you've not seen the trailer for it, it's flying under the radar. There's not a lot of promotion for it. I just sort of stumbled upon it. If you're a Bryan Cranston fan or you're just into, police and crime dramas and courtroom dramas and mob movies, like all that shit's in this.
It's all those things. And I couldn't be more excited about it, because Bryan Cranston's good at that type of genre, and he's in this role where he's a father who's seemingly covering up for a crime that his son committed, and there seems to be some mystery around that. Like his son hit a mob boss's son with his car or something.
That's sort of the way the trailer portrays
that's what
Seems
the
like
trailer.
There's more to it, but yeah, that's what the trailer basically says.
and then he gets diagnosed with cancer and starts selling meth.
Like they'll find some way to tie it to Breaking Bad, just like Malcolm in the Middle.
It's part of the Cranston verse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's an upcoming series we will be doing, so look out for that. As usual, we appreciate all the comments, all the upvotes, a lot of subs lately. Appreciate that if you're new listening. We'll talk to y'all next time. Well, you'll hear us talk next time. It's a better way to put it.
Bye.
Bye.